I worked for a lot of different companies, really in mobile most of my career, focused in lifecycle marketing, product marketing, retention, and monetization. I've got a bunch of quick hits for how you can kind of elevate and improve your lifecycle marketing. So really aiming for actionable tips that you can go implement. So hopefully my goal is you can take something here and go use it, next week. So a lot of us have onboarding flows in our app. A lot of us ask, hey, what are your goals? Do you do any personalization in your lifecycle marketing? If you don't, you should pull these goals, what people are giving you, and personalize your messages using those. Maybe your subject line, maybe in push notifications. I often find that large-scale personalization doesn't really work that well. Often it gets way too complicated, but simple personalization, pulling in what motivates users, and using that in your messages can usually generate a good lift. And so this is kind of simple string personalization using those variables and pulling those in. So if you don't do it, try it out. And a lot of apps do a mix of either pushing monetization or pushing engagement early on. And so I think that usually a lot of us are subscription apps. A lot of us have paywalls during the first session. If someone doesn't convert immediately during that paywall, you want to figure out, should you keep trying to push monetization, or do you really need to drive engagement? And should you really be trying to get them to do some core action in your app and use something first, and that'll actually drive better monetization because they don't quite understand the value. And so think about that early signal. If someone's not converting, they're clearly not ready. They need more. So you want to figure out and do some testing there to figure out what you should push more. MyFitnessPal really doesn't push monetization much in their lifecycle marketing. They try to get you back into the app, start tracking food, and then you go, okay, now I get it. Now I might be ready to pay. I want some premium features. Fabulous. I'm not sure if any of you use them, but they push monetization pretty hard in their emails, and they see that, hey, we have either maybe they think they have more motivational emails or better copy or better creative, but they find that they can drive monetization directly via email, and it works well for them. So you want to figure out what you should do, but really you want to have a focus. You don't want to be trying to do both. And then sometimes it's tough to figure out, I think a lot of people ask, how often should we be sending messages to our users? And it's tricky, but there is an answer. It's called kind of natural usage frequency. I didn't invent this. There's a lot of writing about it. Google it if you need more. But you want to understand how frequently are users using your app. Is it once a week? Is it every day? So tools like Mixpanel or Amplitude, you can figure this out pretty easily. And then align your message cadence with that natural usage frequency. If you think about an app like Headway, you can use that app every day. Guess what? Headway sends you messages every day. They send you tons of push notifications. Another app like AllTrails, you're probably not going hiking every day. If you look at AllTrails, they don't send you messages every day. They much more infrequently send you messages. And so you're going to annoy your users if your use case doesn't align with your message frequency. What I like to do is try to increase the frequency of messages slightly more than the use case, where you want to drive more usage of your app. And so think, are people using your app, a couple times a month? Maybe send a message every week. And so you want to subtly and kind of nudge them to have a higher frequency of usage, but don't go crazy and don't do something that doesn't align with how people actually use your product. Again, a lot of us are subscription apps. I think I think in the early presentation, App Figure showed most of the money is generated by subscription apps. A lot of us have trials as well. The trial period is pretty sensitive. And it's actually probably pretty high risk, or more high risk than you think, to send notifications during that period. And so if you send notifications, you want to be really careful and make sure you're measuring, are you actually helping or hurting anything? We all think we have really great marketing messages and we're really creative and can educate users on the value of our product. A lot of times, you're going to be reminding people that they started a trial, or your messages aren't quite good as you think, and you're actually going to be annoying them and going, actually, I don't really want to use this product, and canceling. So, the way to do this, to really understand the impact of your messages, is with holdout groups or control groups. And so control groups really are the gold standard of lifecycle marketing measurement. If you are launching campaigns without using control groups or holdout groups ever, you do not know how well your messages are performing. Your marketing tools may have some conversion rate, and they may say, 10% of people receiving our message are converting. But if you actually, let's say launch a 50-50 test with 50% of users receiving a message, 50% of users not receiving anything, you might see that actually, if we don't send anything, 5% of users convert anyway. And so in that case, your real conversion rate is actually 5%. And that's the positive case. A lot of times it's the opposite, where you see that 5% of users receiving the message are converting, and then when people aren't receiving a message, 10% are converting. And so you're actually doing more harm than good with your messages because they aren't aligned with the right audience, you're not sending at the right time. And so if you're not, whenever you launch new campaigns, including holdout groups, it doesn't always have to be 50-50. A 50-50 test is going to reach stat sig as fast as possible. But in the presentation you just saw on A/B testing, you can have long-term holdout groups for your lifecycle marketing messaging as well. Often I'll start a campaign with a 50-50 test, and then maybe I don't have as much data as I would like. Maybe it's a critical point in the user journey, and I want to be more confident. I'll roll out that test, but leave a 10% holdout group for maybe a few more months, just to confirm that I'm not hurting anything and to validate that this is actually working. Maybe something seasonal is actually causing the changes or the impact in your messages, and a few months later you see actually they're not working anymore, and so you have to go back to the drawing board. And so if you're not using control groups or holdout groups, start using them. Something that I think can be a really cool tactic, which is possible with most lifecycle marketing tools, is combining push notifications with in-app messages. So what does that look like? I think sales are a great example. You can send a push notification, and when someone taps on that push notification, trigger an in-app message in the app. This is great because there's not really much copy on push notifications. And so you can kind of hook somebody, but they're not really confident that maybe they want this yet. Maybe you need to add a little more context. And so you can often, maybe counterintuitive because you think you're adding an extra step and you think, just driving straight to the paywall is better. But often you can actually improve the user experience, and especially for monetization, improve that conversion rate by using that in-app message to offer more context and maybe sell them a little more, offer them a little more information, and then from that in-app message, send them to the paywall. And so I think this can be a cool tactic to try out. Just not only for monetization or sales or promotions. I think it can also be great if you're launching new features. I don't have that example here, but let's say you're launching a new feature, you want to promote that new feature, just sending someone straight into that feature, deep linking from that push notification, it's tough. You have like a sentence there on that push notification. It's not really everything someone needs to know about what you're promoting or what you're launching. And so again, have that push notification when they tap on and open the app, that triggers an in-app message, explains a little more, and then from that in-app message you can send them to where you want, and usually that'll be pretty helpful to kind of drive feature adoption or engagement or usage. And then similar, you can use in-app messages to test different paywall placements without extra development lift. And so, you may be able to trigger, or you'll need to be able to trigger your paywall via deep link, but via most lifecycle tools, marketing automation tools, you can figure out where you want to trigger an in-app message. You can test that out at different placements in the app, and then deep link directly to that paywall without actually having the extra development lift of building that paywall in all these different places. If that works, maybe you want to decide to invest in natively building that paywall where you figure out, but it can be way faster to test out and figure out what works for you. Another example I tried recently is with iOS offer codes. And so even if you don't even have a sale paywall built out or another paywall built out, you can create on iOS, you can create an offer code, and that'll generate a link you can use, and then you can trigger that paywall and link to that offer code, which will link to the App Store. And so you can test out discounts without even having a new paywall built at all, without even adding a new SKU. And so that can be a really fast way to validate, hey, does a discount make sense here? Is this the right placement? And then you can go, great, this works well. The iOS offer code redemption screen in the App Store isn't great. It's very plain. And so if that works, you're going to want to go back and, again, build that natively where you find success. But I think it can be a great boost to your team to figure out what's working without extra development work. So good segue here. How else can we, as a marketing team, help our developers, help product managers validate and test ideas faster? So little case study here. I was working for a meditation app, and we had another product that we recently implemented streaks. Everybody loves streaks. Everyone wants to put streaks into their app. Great, let's try it out. So one option would be, okay, let's build it into the app. Let's go through product and development and QA and actually maybe roll it out to 5 or 10% or A/B test that feature natively. Another option, we can actually probably simulate a streak experience pretty well with just email and push notifications. People, we have all the data going into our lifecycle marketing tool. We can trigger messages. Okay, use the app 2 days in a row. Hey, great job. Use the app again tomorrow for a 3-day streak. So we tested this, built this all out. Didn't need any development. A little design help. To kind of build our images for our emails. We tested this out, and people hated it. It was really insightful, and it was a huge win because we didn't actually waste development time with a feature that didn't work. And so I think you can figure out how you can, one, validate ideas faster, but also really learn what people like and what people don't. With a meditation app, we learned that we don't want to introduce extra stress. People don't want streaks. People don't want that kind of behavior. And so, everybody wants to be Duolingo. Everyone wants to be streaks, but really think carefully about what features you bring into your app. And if you're going to try these things, and if you're going to copy other apps in other categories that might not be kind of your direct competitors or in different industries, you can often learn quicker and save time by validating those ideas with lifecycle marketing, especially with in-app messages. I think in-app messages are very underutilized because you're really changing the product. If you trigger a message in the app, users don't think of it as, oh, that's coming from your lifecycle marketing tool. That's not a product experience. It's just a feature in the app. And so that can be really huge for validating things. Sometimes it's not a better experience, and building natively usually is the right way to go, but maybe not immediately. All right, so I think we've all seen a lot of best practices for how to boost our push notification opt-in. One way you might see is asking users after they set a goal. So if asking users, hey, how much do you want to commit to using our app? And then you tie that kind of tie the push notification implicitly to someone accomplishing their goals. You can see they're not actually saying, if you opt into push notifications, you're going to accomplish your goals. But connecting those screens, there's this kind of implicit connection, and people associate them. Another way is, this is kind of obvious, but tell users what they're going to get when they receive push notifications. Connect it to the value they're going to receive. And then you can add a little more with these little UI nudges. And so it might look a little silly, but those little arrows pointing to allow push notifications work. These subtle UI nudges directing users to where you want them to go, they work. Or you can throw all these out the window. And best practices, they're okay, but really sometimes they're outdated, sometimes really that they've been done or overdone, and people are they're no longer working. So what I've actually seen start to work way better is just showing the push notification prompt immediately on first app open. Why does this work? Well, people don't really read your app. They don't read your screens like you think they do. They're just tapping next, 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 and kind of getting into the app. When you actually call out the push notification prompt, you're actually asking them, hey, can you stop and think about whether you really want this? And they go, no, I don't actually really want this. And they opt out. And so, also, how many apps do we all use? We've all seen this prompt so many times. We're all kind of habituated to it. People just tap allow. I've really seen great results. So if you're not getting good push notification opt-in and you don't have some complex flow asking users about their goals or tying it to what time they want to receive push notifications, try this. It may work well. And so I have also seen a lot of wins with sending inactivity notifications, triggering users to come back into your app. If you don't do those can be great to kind of boost engagement and retention. When should you send those? Well, there's no one answer. Going back to that natural usage frequency we talked about in the beginning, you want to understand how long it takes users to convert, when do they normally drop off, and then send a message right kind of before then. So if a user, let's say 50, 75% of your users that are ever going to convert within the first week. Okay, we'll send a notification to bring them back after 5 days. You don't want to wait that full week because then they're already gone. But if you kind of get ahead of it a little bit, you can bring them back into your app without annoying them. Because if you send it too early, they're like, I was going to come back anyway. I'm not ready to use the app again. So if you send it around that time, it makes sense. Maybe everyone that's going to use your app converts or comes back in that 2 hours. Okay, we'll send it after 1 hour, and that can be a quick way to figure out when to kind of bring people back into your app with inactivity notifications. And quick tip for all notifications, but especially inactivity notifications: reference what a user's last did in the app and/or how long it's been. Specific messages are better. Contextual messages are better. When you combine them, you've got a good message. People remember what they did. You go, oh yeah, I did. That's what the last thing I did in the app. Oh yeah, it has been a few days. Okay, I'll come back. So it's a quick thing you can do, and a quick little personalization. Going back, large-scale personalization is hard, but these simple variables, simple string variables with small personalization usually works best. All right, so everyone wants more web revenue. Everyone wants to pay less to Apple and Google. I think a lot of people are using a lot of talk about web to app flows for user acquisition, but I think there's also a huge opportunity with email to web purchase. And you can use similar landing pages or similar designs that you're using for user acquisition, but really, for free users that don't convert initially, use email if you have account creation or capture email early on. Send emails to them, and you probably want to have a kind of promotional offer some form of discount, or make it compelling. These are people that, again, you probably have a paywall in the beginning of the experience of your app. They said no. You have to kind of motivate them and nudge them. So usually you have to offer some discount or something a little more interesting versus your initial offer. So create something compelling that actually is going to get them excited. But the job isn't done after they click that email. I think sometimes you're tempting to kind of send them straight to the checkout page. And these are kind of checkout pages, but really you need to create a compelling landing page as well. Use classic conversion tactics, use social proof, use stats, use sense of urgency, reiterate the discount that you maybe talked about the email to actually drive that purchase. And so I think this can be an effective tactic to boost revenue and monetize a larger percent of your free users. So like I said, you boost take-home revenue, and you can often improve renewal rates because web subscriptions usually renew at a higher rate. The users it's less in your face. You have your app or you have your phone in your pocket all the time. You maybe have other subscriptions. You see that subscription, you cancel. It's not usually the case on the web, and so you usually have higher renewal rates. You can also usually test and iterate faster on the web because you have faster development cycles. You don't have to wait for an app release, and then you can often take what's working on the web and bring it into the app and use it there as well. And similar, you can test copy and creative, and you can actually have more creative subscription offers, right? You can try different types of subscriptions, you can try different lengths, and you aren't limited by Apple or Google restrictions there either. I've got 6 seconds left, so really quick summary here. This is my quick guidance on how to think about different channels. Email, great for monetization, great for longer educational email or messages. Not quite as good for driving engagement if you're an app-only, mobile-only product, because half the users are going to be on desktop, and so it's not going to quite work as well. Then for push notifications, it's kind of the inverse, right? Push notifications, much tougher to monetize. Try out combining them with in-app messages, but by themselves, I just never find them super successful for driving monetization. Great for engagement, great for driving feature adoption, great for getting people back into your app. And then once they're back into your app, show them a paywall, try to monetize there. In-app messages can do a lot. I think they're, as I mentioned before, much underutilized for driving feature adoption and for validation of new features and for monetization. Use them sparingly, though. You can create a poor user experience if you overload people with in-app messages, and so really make sure you're using them in really targeted places and using them where you think they're going to be most impactful. SMS, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan. I think make sure you use it where it makes sense. The power of SMS is conversational messages. Someone can reply to you. And so if you can reply and have a conversation, have interaction, that's huge. That's cool. People like that. But people hate getting SMS. People think it's more personal communication. So just don't overdo it. All right. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this, go check out Retention.blog, where I have tons more like this. And if you subscribe, I'm going to send out this presentation to you, so you have even more reason to subscribe. But thank you all. I really appreciate you all.